pitch is looped toward shortstop. Petroselli's back. He's got it. The Red Sox win. And pandemonium on the field.
Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your host, award-winning sports collectibles author, Tom Zappala.
Hey, everyone. How are you guys? Look at this. Look at this crowd here. Beauty, beauty and three beasts. Not including me, of course. Welcome. Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zapp. Mallory's out. Petroselli's out. Blassie is in. Lou Blassie, our producer extraordinaire, is going to be working the phones and co-hosting with me today. Welcome, Lewis.
I'll hit behind Rico and John. No problem.
Well, you know where Rico is? Rico is on the golf course at 95 degrees, Stroke City. I said Stroke City coming up.
God,
but anyway,
just that pacemaker.
Really. Welcome to the show. This is our pre-national show. That's what I'm calling it. We're flying out tomorrow. Ellen and I are going to be at the National tomorrow. Right now at the National, Chuck and Stacy Whisman from Wheatland Auctions, Scotty Russell from the Collector Connection, at the floor, on the floor. Scott is doing business, as we can see.
Trying to get my booth set.
How's everyone? I want the vibe right out of the gate. Chuck and Stace, what's the vibe there? What are you guys feeling?
I mean, it's well coordinated. I'll tell you that. I think Scott can attest to that. We're all set up. We're in easily, probably easier than ever. Mm-hmm. And I mean, excitement is insane. Pre-sales are better than ever from what I hear. I know tons of people coming in. I'm talking to people every day here who weren't planning to come, that I'm just telling them, hey, just jump on a flight because it's easy to get in. We're so close to O'Hare. It's so easy to get to Chicago. And tons of people every day are telling me, you know what, I'm coming. I wasn't planning on it, but I'm going to show up. So I think it's going to be the best ever. What do you think of the vibe? You just got in late last night.
Yeah, we got in late last night. We got over here today. I was shocked. It was easy out there. Were no long lines. People were flowing in, getting set up. Everybody's, walking around, greeting everybody. I think a lot of the stress of that initial setup just doesn't seem to be here, at least not yet. And it's been a really good environment. People walking around buying already, dealers buying.
We're making sales already. We have thousands of cards out on display already.
Really? Scott, what is your take, brother?
I have to agree completely. It was literally mind-blowing how quickly I got in, because I was the last load-in time scheduled for today. And normally you're behind a 4-hour line when you're the last guy. And I was in 15 minutes, unloaded and out the door in less than half an hour and in the parking lot. It was phenomenal. I've never been at a national like it.
Well, last week we had Joe on, Joe and Jimmy and Brian and Shane, the communications guys. I'll tell you what, man, they are excited. They've crossed every T and dotted every I they can think of, Lou. Remember we were talking to them? I mean, from security to air conditioning to the internet, they're really, really excited. The way Joe explained it to us, they really want to make you guys feel as comfortable as you can. Basically, because you're their bread and butter. I mean, and
I think basically they looked at a checklist of what are the items people wanted to see or wanted to have improved, and they went right up and down the checklist and got everything taken care of. I mean, like you said, the air condition, the internet, ease in and out. And then they also added, I think there's 20% additional dealer spots or dealers in.
Now, what's going
on a second level?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's going on upstairs? Can you explain that?
From what I've heard, it's like 75 or more tables that are set up for people to sell. And
it was all the guys who've been on the wait list forever.
Right.
They also have the biggest trade night set up and I don't know if you guys have ever been to the trade nights. We go all the time. I'm always looking for things to buy at the National. So it's very festive. The local hotels are set up with thousands of people many nights to buy and trade and sell.
Now we work in a community with a lot of dealers that are our sponsors and are on the show a lot, and the community is really tight. And you guys all like each other and work together and get along. I don't know what percentage that is of the National, but what's the vibe overall between booths and between dealers? You guys, is it cooperative or is it antagonistic or mixed?
On my walk over to Expo Services, the only reason I didn't interrupt Chuck and Stacy is because it looked like they were doing a webcast of some sort. But I must have stopped 5-6 times to say hi to guys, Larry Dean and Terry Morgan, and who always seems to be at a show before it opens. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, we've seen Terry, but yeah, and I will add to that there's a lot of people we just see a couple times a year, maybe just at the National. And it's really good. And what's interesting, even last night at the hotel, I had other people I know in the industry saying, hey, what do you think of the hobby? Where do you think it's going to be in 5 years? I actually got that question 3 times last night, I think. So people are doing well. There's a lot of new people in it too. So the hobby's kind of peaking right now,
Lou, you made a good point. Some of our sponsors, many of our sponsors have been with us since day one. And it's really, I find it refreshing to basically support what Lou's saying. The big auction houses, when you look at Heritage and you look at Memory Lane, everybody gets along. Everybody gets along. And then, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, and Scott, you've been on many times with, guys like Joe Orlando or Derek. I mean, they're always, they're nice. Everybody's nice to each other. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously some people, in some relationships that don't work, but by and large, being a jerk to each other isn't helpful to anybody.
Well, what I was wondering,
it makes me look petty and it makes a big company look foolish. So there's no money in it.
What I was wondering about specifically, and we'll get into the man cave thing, I'm sure at some point in the show.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
There's a lot of money on the table, so there's a lot of piracy going on here, and I'm not sure everybody comes in with the best of intentions to be part of the community.
Yeah, and people who've been in it for a long time, ethics, professionalism, making sure that we don't see or do anything to have anything that isn't authentic out there. That's another reason why we talk a lot together and try to interact and just help each other out sometimes. If a new collection is out there or something seems odd, we'll talk and try to get a sense of what's going on.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I just I think in some respects the auction houses do have a stewardship burden on them for the hobby. We're obviously the bigger companies, even more so than myself, but we're leading the path on ethics, authentication, this, that.
Absolutely.
We're the first line of defense, and so a lot of us take that very seriously.
We're talking to Chuck and Stacy from Whisman and Scott from the Collector Connection. By the way, a little later on, our good friend of the show, former Red Sox player Jimmy Gogger, the super sub, is going to be joining us because he's doing some great stuff with St Judes Hospital. We're going to talk to Jimmy a little later on. But, just for you guys, just so you can understand what Lou's background is, and we talked about it briefly, Lou knows this business. He's been in it now for a long time. And Lou co-authored the T206 collection, our first book with Ellen and I.
Awesome book, yeah.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, which is a good thing. Let's talk about Man Cave. Let's get right into it, guys. A couple of weeks ago, everybody knows what happened. It kind of rocked the hobby. We talked about it at length last week with the guys from the National. I want to get your thoughts on it. Has it impacted the hobby? I have my personal feelings. Who was it, Lou? Oh, it was Al Crisafulli. Didn't think that it was going to affect it. From my perspective, I think it's going to definitely affect the modern market, not so much the vintage market. And I want to get your take first, Chuck and Stacy.
Yeah, I think we have two different aspects. So there's the storefront that we have at VSM, and then there's the auction business. In the storefront, we only buy things that we know are authentic, or we only sell things that we know are authentic. So we make sure we get them authenticated, or we buy direct. We have a direct relationship with Fanatics. So all the Eagles Super Bowl stuff all comes direct from Fanatics, that they witness every autograph. So that's very important. And anytime we do an auction, we bring in JSA to look at every single auction item, whether it's been certified or not previously, so that everything has had an expert look at it. And Scott was mentioning ethics and integrity. That's what we feel is the best we can do to maintain that. We don't ever want to sell anything that isn't authentic, and it's hard. There's some of the card companies have had some issues with some of the players, having somebody else sign the cards from them on the new stuff that's coming out. So they're trying to get ahead of that. There was just news on, Topps issuing buybacks for some messy autographs that might have gotten out. So, they're staying on top of it. They have high ethical standards. So the more of us in leadership roles that can help maintain that, the better. And, Scott put out an announcement via email. Scott, I saw what you sent out, right after that happened.
I didn't see it, Scott. What did you say? I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was just, we've always had what we call our authenticity guarantee program, which is if you buy something from us that's not already certed and you want to get it certed, if it fails, either PSA or CAS or who we mainly use, if it fails, you get not just the certification fee, but you get all of the money back, because you should never have been in a position to buy something fake in the first place. That's our fault. We've actually expanded that effort now. It now includes already certified items. So if you're worried that your item was fake certified, through Man Cave or whatever, you will get it certified for you again, and the guarantee will still apply to all of your money back. Cool. So basically, everything we sell autograph-wise, we stand behind 100%.
I see a lot on the internet. I see a lot on Facebook, and I see a lot of communication with our Facebook page from hobbyists. And I know that you, like Chuck, you guys especially, but a few people have made comments on autographs now that they have no intention of buying autographs unless they're standing there in front of the player signing it. I mean, what do you say about that?
Some people will feel that way, and I completely understand that, and growing up as a kid who just loved sports, nothing was better than getting an autograph in person, watching my kids down at spring training get an autograph from a baseball player. I mean, there's something awesome about that. And, there are, when you're buying from Upper Deck, when you're buying from Fanatics, when you're buying from the companies that watch them, that's a big part of just having a better sense that it's authentic,
Yeah, I guess it comes down to source, and isn't pricing an issue at this point? If the price looks to be too good, that's something you should be very suspect of, right?
Yeah, you should certainly be doing your homework if something looks too good to be true. I mean, yeah, every now and then you fall into something, but you can't be, a major operation like Man Cave selling for less than half price should have been red flags all along.
And listen, bad people do bad stuff, and where there's money to be made, there's gonna always be people trying to fake autographs. And I go around, I see at flea markets sometimes, people who have nothing but fakes there taking advantage of people, and the best I can do is alert the people who run the place. But most of the time, they don't really do anything,
I want to ask you guys to stay on that subject of autographs. We've talked about this. I think, Scott, we've talked about it, you and I and the guys. We've always referred to it as manufactured rarities. Everybody knows the term. Is that hurting the hobby, where you get a guy like, let's use Roman, I used him last week. Let's use Roman Anthony as an example. Roman Anthony cuts a deal with Topps and signs X amount of cards, and then each card is a one of one, because it may have a piece of his uniform, a hologram, his grandmother's sauce recipe, whatever the hell it is, okay? And they released that card, and that card is worth a lot more money than if
The
Lou,
autograph would warrant.
if Lou, right. And now, if Lou sees Roman Anthony, the rookie, at spring training and hands him a card and he signs it for his kid, that card is not worth anywhere near as much as that manufactured rarity. Is this going to hurt the hobby? Again, let's go with start with Chuck and Stace, and then Scott. Scott, go ahead. You go.
Oh, okay. I think this is something that we've been yelling about for 30 years now, since Donruss Elite. So I don't think it hurts the hobby. I think people have to realize what it is, though. It creates that chase atmosphere, but then the next year people are moving on to the next thing. Obviously, there's exceptions. Actually, Donruss Elite's a great exception. By today's standards, there's tons of Donruss Elite out there. But because they were the leader in serial numbered autographs, they're still worth good money today. But like if you buy a 2023 hot rookie 1/1 autograph, you buy it in 2023, you're buying it at exactly the wrong time. Because unless he becomes Mike Trout, that autograph is going to be cheaper the next year and cheaper the next year and cheaper the next year, because it's always about chasing the next hot thing. Now, if the guy blows up and becomes the next big superstar, that's different. But look at somebody like Julio Rodriguez, who has turned out to be a perennial all-star. His cards are worth way less than what they were the year they came out, when everybody was going gaga investing in him.
How about Wander Franco?
Well, that's a whole other problem.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and we can start with Chuck and Stacy. If someone was coming to the National and they wanted you to buy for them, and they handed you a crap ton of money, and they're good friends, and you like them, and you're getting a cut of the profits, what percentage is going to modern? What percentage is going to vintage? What percentage is going to autographs and memorabilia? Or would it break down that way, or would it be instance by instance?
I would say, and the percentage of modern is increasing year after year. This year we probably brought 98% modern.
Did you really?
And we can't keep it in stock. We have to buy constantly throughout the National to keep up with it.
All right, so let's talk about
now if I would graph that, and Brandon and I were talking to Brandon from the Card Life, probably even 10 years ago, we were probably 50-50. And it's just every year been more modern. People are here, the people who do the repacks, the people who do a lot of breaking and online sales. It's tremendous. They can't get enough cards to sell in their marketplaces, and they'll buy as much as they can get to just replenish and resell.
All right. So wait. So you're saying that a percentage of those sales are going for resale, correct?
Yes.
Now, what percentage is that, would you say?
I would say 90% of what we sell is being resold.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's kind of a cycle. Like I'm buying things that people bought somewhere else and are reselling, and then somebody else is, and then it's constantly coming back. Yeah. An example, Tom, is the downtown inserts in football.
Yeah.
Okay. There's people that sell repacks where you're guaranteed a downtown with the potential to get a Mahomes or Jaden Daniels worth a few $1,000s, and they can't buy enough of them. So every year I come to the National with a case or two of downtowns, and they're usually sold in a day.
But it feels like, Scott, we talk about this balance all the time between collecting and investing, and that's more for the vintage, right? That doesn't occur with modern. Modern is all investing, isn't it? Quick turnaround.
Well, ultimately, I've used this analogy with Tom before, being a Florida snowbird. Somebody's got to want to own the condo somewhere along the line, though. You can't just keep kicking the can down the road, selling it to the next guy who's going to sell it to the next guy, sell it to the next guy, sell it to the next guy. Somebody somewhere actually wants the car. Or the market is a house of cards, and it's going to come tumbling down at some point. And I don't think it is, so I'm not saying that to be negative at all. What's interesting is, Chuck's talking about people buying from him for resale, and what we're seeing is the repackers and the breakers are actually paying us full retail, because as they break it down and they're selling spots, they're actually making more than what retail is. So we're, not selling to them at some huge discount. They're paying our prices and
then just reselling it at a higher price.
Yeah,
But Scott,
but they're packaging it differently, so people are not viewing it as they're paying over retail. It's very odd.
Scott, in your case though, as opposed to Stace and to Chuck, you're a vintage guy. I mean, you're mostly vintage. What percentage of your inventory leans towards vintage and modern?
Well, it depends on what you want to pick as your cutoff line. If we say vintage is 70 and earlier,
yeah,
probably 40% vintage, and then from 71 on up.
Scott, you were somebody that always seemed to have close to 100% vintage.
Yeah, I mean, he used to sleep with a Honus Wagner card. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, so yeah, that's interesting, Scott, that you've kind of.
Well, again, that's setting the line at 70. A lot of people consider 70s and even the early 80s as vintage now. If you included those years, we're probably up to 75%. We have very little from 90 on.
All right. Before we take a break, I just want to ask one more question regarding this. Lou made a comment about investors, modern/investors. How does that, do you guys have a problem with that when you get a 15-year-old kid that comes up and buys, I don't know, a ton of cards? He buys $2,000, $3,000 worth of cards, and you ask him the question, do you really like the hobby, or are you trying to make a buck? And he says, honestly, I'm trying to make a buck. I see that quite a bit. I hear it quite a bit. Do you guys have any opinion on that, or does it matter, I guess?
Part of me likes that person is learning about profit and loss at a young age. That's a skill set that I think too many people don't understand as they get into the business world later in life. So I see people hustling, working hard. And so from that perspective, I think it's good. I mean, we see it all the time. I know my first out Fanatics Fest was a $1,300 card to an 11-year-old,
But I also think that just like most investments, if you don't know what you're buying, you're inevitably going to not do well. You're inevitably going to hit a point where you're going to make a big mistake, and you're going to be in a place you don't want to be. So I do think for the kids or for the people that are out there, just because it seems like this is an easy way to make a quick dollar, inevitably they're going to end up in the negative. It's not going to work out the way that they think it's going to.
And Lou has a background in fantasy baseball, and the people who have the good knowledge of the prospects, those are the ones who could do really well. If you, especially off season in baseball, if you buy the top 10 prospects or other guys that you think could do very well, then when they get called up to the big leagues, boom, the cards go up in price tenfold.
That's one
example.
Pre-hype, right? You have to get them pre-hype, because that's when the price. Because that's
but it's still speculation, though. It really
speculation. Is. But then if you get the market too, if they're a New York Yankee, a Met, a Dodger, a Philly, the big markets have the bigger potential too. Now, what we do a lot at the National, we buy throughout the year quarterback rookie autographs. And this is the time of year everybody thinks their team's winning the Super Bowl. So collectors from all over will be here.
Not us.
A large majority of our cards we sell is that type of football player who's the top prospects or the top guys at every team,
Scott,
if you go pre-hype, you can get them cheap enough so that you can basically cover the board and hope on hits.
Yeah. Scott, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'm a bit of a Pollyanna. I think anybody buying cards for any reason is a good thing. And part of that is too, because even you've got 115-year-olds in the room who are buying, and they're saying they're buying for profit. 10% of them are going to wind up seeing something different and that they've never seen before that's going to intrigue them. And we're going to turn, as the vintage guy, we're going to turn a certain percentage of those kids who are buying and flipping today into vintage guys eventually. Yeah, because that's how everybody progressed. We all went from the cards of our childhood,
and that's true.
To older.
I guess.
And so the more kids buying, the better.
I guess for me, we're going to take a break, but for me, I find that my grandson, I'm using him as an example, and I'm trying to educate him, and it frustrates me when he knows everything about Ohtani, knows everything about now Roman Anthony, knows everything about Mike Trout, but has no idea who the hell Nap Lajoie is. It frustrates me. But anyways, we're going to take a quick break.
You
We're
can't
gonna take a
force
quick break. Scott's in the house, Chuck's in the house, Stacy's in the house, Louie's manning the phones. By the way, you know where Louie is right now. Lou, are you in the scoreboard?
I'm in the scoreboard at Fenway, yeah.
Yeah, Louie's sitting in the scoreboard at Fenway Park. So,
that's awesome.
all right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Hang in there. And when we come back, it's the AI GAX all-time NBA tourney results. We'll be right back.
I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and in the house with us are Scott Russell from the Collector Connection, Chuck and Stacy Whisman from Wheatland Auctions. In a little while, hopefully, Jimmy Gogger, former Red Sox super utility player, is going to be joining us. Lou, did you say Jimmy would just automatically drop in with us?
No, I can put him in when we get him, but I'm not not going to know what his audio is like, or I'll see his video. I'm not going to know what his audio is like.
Not a problem. Louis, why don't you tell, since we're trying to keep you awake, why don't you tell our audience about our new sponsor, Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency?
Well, the Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency has been insuring collectibles since the early 1980s. The late Tom Finkelmeyer wrote the original sports memorabilia insurance policy when no one else in the industry was insuring sports collectibles. A lifelong collector of sports cards, Tom Sr. instilled the love of collecting in Tom Jr., the current president of Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency. Tom Finkelmeyer Jr., with 3 decades of insurance experience, has paired that expertise with 50 years of collecting, with a litany of professional what I'm trying to say is professional designations, including counseling and risk management. Tom covers every aspect of your collectibles insurance needs. Unlike some of the companies that sell collectibles insurance directly to the consumer online, Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency is the only independent retail agent who specializes in sports memorabilia and collectibles nationwide. Representing all major companies that sell collectibles insurance, there's no agent that insures more collectors, dealers, appraisers, auctioneers, or events in the collectibles hobby than Finkelmeyer Insurance. Good friend and hobby legend John Tobby of JT Sports has been using Finkelmeyer Insurance for over 20 years. For more information, go to thefia.com, thefia.com. That's Finkelmeyer Insurance, where collecting is our passion.
Not bad, Lou. Not bad.
Not bad on 4 hours sleep.
All right, it's time. By the way, Chuck and Stace and Scott are in the house with us. Before we get back to it, by the way, Scott is in booth 407, and Chuck and Stace are in, don't tell me, 326 and 328, or 326, 27, and 28?
26 and 28. 326.
Who's in 27?
There is none.
We don't know where that is, but it's not in between us. So
okay. 326 and 28. All right, it's time for the GAX AI All-Time NBA Basketball Tournament for this week, powered by Danny, the baseball savant, and sponsored by our pal Paul Borges and the group at PB Collectibles. Go to pbcollectibles.com for your favorite cards. And if you have a bitch about this segment, which some people have, don't call us. Call either Paul or Danny, the baseball savant. Okay, this week we have this was a good game, actually. We have the 1971-72 Los Angeles Lakers versus the 2014-15 Golden State Warriors. And here's a little synopsis of what happened. A hypothetical game between the 71 and 72 LA Lakers and the 2014-15 Golden State Warriors presents a fascinating clash of basketball eras and styles. For the Lakers, the 1971-72 Lakers, dominant force. Who were the key players? Wilt Chamberlain, Gail Goodrich, Jerry West, and they had a remarkable 69-13 record and won the NBA championship. Their strengths, they possessed a potent inside game with Chamberlain dominating the paint, complemented by the scoring and playmaking of both West and Goodrich. The Lakers also excelled defensively, ranking second in defensive efficiency. Biggest weakness, they did not have the benefit of a three-point line. The 2014-15 Warriors, this team won the NBA championship with a 67-15 regular season record. Key players, Steph Curry, who has happened to be the MVP, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Known for their fast-paced, high-scoring offense, they built around perimeter shooting and ball movement. They averaged 98.3 possessions per game, and they average around 102 points per game. Their explosive offensive firepower and being able to shoot from the arc proved a little too much for the LA Lakers from 1971 and 72. And if you take the three-point shooting in place, compare the two teams for three-point shooters, The Warriors definitely get the edge and won this game 112-100. Next week, so we got the Warriors 112-100. Next week, we have the number 7 seed Miami Heat versus the number 10 2014 San Antonio Spurs. So that's going to be a good game. The 2012 Miami Heat against the 2013 Spurs. And that is our NBA talk for the week. All right, let's get back to our guests. All right, so got a question. Let's talk security. Joe really touted security last week. 200 cameras set up around the facility that you guys probably can't even see. There's going to be an army of undercover retired policemen and security people. I'm sure you guys are taking. Let's talk to you guys first, Chuck and Stace. Additional security measures that you guys take, other than the fact that you carry an AK-47 in your back pocket.
I brought a couple ring cameras that I can set up, or mobile cameras, and then some of our staff. We have more staff than we probably need.
I was going to say that we're definitely overstaffed, but then there's a reason for that, just so everything has good eyes on it at all times.
We'll have times at our booth. We have 2 big booth spaces, and we might have 50 to 80 people at our booth at any given time. And so it's pretty easy to get distracted at one end and have somebody do something somewhere else. So we talked to the staff. We're going to have a couple of people dedicated just to being on the outside of the booth, not just on the inside,
Smart move. Scotty?
We're a little different animal. Since we're not selling retail, we don't have people asking to see stuff as often, even though we bring a lot of stuff to show off for future auctions. But I do bring help to this show, which I normally kind of fly solo at shows. I do bring help to this show, and we have a policy that there is 1 item out of a case at a time. So if I have 1 helper and me, that's a total of 2 items that can be out of a case at a time, and everybody has to wait. With us, it's not a big deal because I don't have 50 to 80 people looking to buy something. I have 3 or 4 people who want to see that Cracker Jack card.
Right.
So,
Scott,
but body bags and all that good stuff.
What do you have for consignments? That you're going to be showing? I'm sure you have some really cool stuff. Any highlights?
The big thing is we just got in probably the most amazing pre-war collection we've ever had. And we haven't gotten all of it yet. He started with us in the last pre-war auction, and he was happy with how it went, so now he's given us more. It was almost all raw. We're in the process of grading a lot of it. We've gotten Cracker Jacks back as high as PSA 7.
Wow.
Grover Cleveland Alexander in 5, 1914 Connie Mack in 5. So a lot of big stuff like that will be here. And actually our upcoming August auction is a ton of unopened. And so we've got a really neat selection of PSA unopened packs back to the 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Chuck and Stacey are a different animal. As we all know, you guys are selling retail. You're going to be packed. You're featuring a little of everything, though, right? I mean, there's nothing in particular that you is there anything in particular that you need to talk about or you want to mention?
We brought some really rare Michael Jordan cards that are for sale, and also had a consigner consign the 84 star rookie, who's really true rookie. That's graded an 8, which is a tough card. And we have some highlights from our existing auction that's live. Some great pre-war, some good Cobb Ruths, sets from 1941 play ball, sets throughout the 50s, with some pretty high grades too.
Louis?
What do you think about the stability of you? We're baseball oriented, so we think baseball dominates the collecting industry. And you just talked about basketball. Are other sports starting to take more of the share here, especially in the modern market?
Yes, especially modern. And I say people who are 40, well, I'd say now 50 and older are probably going to be mostly baseball fans. When you go less than that and you're in your 40s or younger, you might be football or basketball first.
Scott, in your case, talking about other sports like football, like basketball, on the vintage end, is that stuff still pretty stable, or have you seen an increase in that?
I've been saying for 20 years, so my crystal ball stinks, but that vintage basketball is one of the best investments you can make. I mean, there's Hall of Famers, all-time great players from the 70s that sell for common prices. So, and then don't even get started on things like 48 Bowman basketball, or, there's some incredible vintage basketball buys, but the problem is baseball has always been tied to history, and baseball has always, its history has been important to the game, and football, NFL films has always made football history important. And basketball's kind of dropped the ball on that. They've never celebrated their own history quite enough, other than like the top 50, the top 75 players of all time that they do every 25 years. And so I think that hurts the vintage market there. It's stable, but it's too low in my opinion.
Well, so let me take what Scott's saying and ask you guys this question, Stacy and Chuck. Sticking with basketball for a moment, it seems as though there's kind of like a gap. You've got like the 57 top series, you've got that set, very iconic set. Then you jump up to today's modern market. Those cards, Chuck, I mean, and like when you were a kid, those cards from the 70s, the Dave Cowanses of the world, the Walt Frazier's of the world. Has there been much movement now with your generation coming up buying those cards?
Not, you have to be 55 and older to appreciate some of those players.
Yeah.
And I don't think younger people, they might know of a Wilt Chamberlain, but they don't know a Walt Frazier, so they might know the big couple names, the Bill Russells, but they don't know all those other guys that are superstars and legends, even in the early 70s,
Okay, so how about, take it up a notch. Take it up to the era of Paul Pierce or that generation. What about those? What about that segment of time?
Yeah, there's people, and what they're looking for from that generation is in the 1990s, that's when they started to do rare insert cards. So maybe you can get a Paul Pierce card numbered to 50 that has huge value now because of the appreciation of when the card makers first started to put rare inserts and numbered cards in packs, and then they morphed into autograph and jersey relics,
But I'm sure, I understand what you're saying. That makes sense. That
on the sportsbook side of things, the WNBA is starting to grab a piece because the way it's timed right now, it's baseball and WNBA. That's basically it right now. And of course, Caitlin Clark brought a lot of spotlight to it. Is it getting any traction in the hobby at all?
Yeah, no, for sure. And the great thing about the Nationals is we have people coming from all over the world that might collect a specific player. We have guys from Australia we usually see every year that are looking just for Allen Iverson or Marbury or some more obscure guy sometimes,
All right, so sticking with the Caitlin Clark for a minute, who's buying those cards? Is it male? Is it female? Is it both? Is it mostly female? Who's buying the Caitlin Clark cards?
Caitlin is just as many men as women, but if there's a young girl or a woman that likes basketball or the WNBA, they're definitely collecting Caitlin. And men, they're investing or collecting her because they like her. And I was going to mention this earlier. We have a whole case of Caitlin Clark cards, probably about 10 rookie autograph cards of Caitlin and about 50 other, rare rookie cards of her in one case. And another case of just WNBA rookies and autographs. I never would have thought that was possible. If you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have told you you're nuts. But the market's there, and we're in Chicago. So, Angel Reese plays here in Chicago. They have a team. So, we might sell out of WNBA cards.
How about you, Scott? How many are you going to sell?
We actually have a couple of WNBA boxes coming up in the unopened themed auction. So,
how many people like will walk up in your estimation? Will walk up to you guys Well, not in your case, Scott, because you're not retailing, but in your case, guys, and buy a card, and that player happens to be at the National and takes that card, walks over, pays the dough, and gets that player to sign the card. Does that happen often?
Yeah, I remember last time in Chicago, Hulk Hogan, I think, was signing here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I finally said to somebody, why is everybody asking for the Hulk Hogan rookies we're selling?
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, he's signing here, and it's a valuable card if it's autographed by him.
Yeah, I think they definitely will walk around if they're getting an autograph from a specific player. They're definitely out searching for things to get signed. But yeah, it was bizarre last year. It was like, why are we selling? Why is everybody looking for Hulk Hogan?
Speaking of which, has there been a spike on Hulk Hogan since his passing?
Yeah, no, definitely. We saw that right away at our store. People just looking to get anything because wow, what he did for wrestling was just unlike anybody else.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
3 or 4 decades for sure,
Absolutely.
And a lot of us that grew up as kids watching that or young adults watching that, those were fun times. And last night to see Ryan Sandberg pass away.
Well, I would ask Scott that question.
Sad.
I mean, it's I don't want to sound morbid, but will there be a spike in Ryan Sandberg cards?
I think it's a real, especially on cards. On autographs, absolutely, because now that a supply that was infinite is now finite. But it doesn't change the underlying card market. They haven't become rarer. They haven't become, So yeah, there's a spike because it makes people look at his career again and realize how great he was again. And so it brings a little interest and notoriety to it. But, look at somebody like Tony Gwynn, who also passed young. His cards probably had a little bump, but they sell for kind of the same as the Boggs rookie cards now, and they're both a little step ahead of Sandberg. So, I don't think there's a lasting bump, but, yeah, there's an immediate bump, absolutely.
And story about Sandberg, I remember going up to him, and, we used to go to the Phillies all the time, and he became the manager after Charlie Manuel was there.
Yeah.
I think for 3 or 4 years. And I went up to him and asked him to sign a football. And he looked at me funny. I'm like, hey, you were the parade All-American, the high school All-American quarterback as a senior in high school. He's like, nobody's ever asked me to sign a football. He's like, that's awesome. He took this football and signed it and wrote all over it for about 5 minutes. And he put parade high school All-American QB in the year. So such a cool item. I'm glad I still have that because that's something, I'll always keep as just a unique item,
Before we let you guys go, I have one other question. I want to get your thoughts. It was interesting. Ellen and I last week were in Cooperstown, and we were talking to some of the people at the hall about, what's happened now with the Pete Rose stuff and Shoeless Joe and Chick Gandil. And it was interesting because some of them have mixed thoughts about all of that. You know what I mean? I want to get your thoughts. First, Chuck and Stacy. Does Pete Rose get into the Hall of Fame? Does Joe Jackson get into the Hall of Fame? Do they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Personally, and I grew up as a kid, Phillies fan, loving Charlie Hustle and what he brought on the field. And I think if you're going to preach morals and ethics in who's getting in the Hall of Fame, you're going to have to take some people out of the Hall of Fame, and we're not going to do that. So, there's other people in there who might have not been the best people in the world. He made his mistake. They held him accountable for it for the rest of his life, and I think he 100% deserves to be in there,
Scotty?
I definitely have, and this is going to sound cruel, but I definitely have an easier time letting him in now that he's gone. There's a petty part of me that would have hated to have to listen to Pete Rose's Hall of Fame induction speech, because what are you going to say that's going to that's going to justify anything that has happened that kept you out? But now, as a player, he absolutely belongs there. So enshrine him, but not really celebrate him, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And I'm assuming you feel the same way about Joe Jackson, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of historical speculation of what Joe knew, what Joe didn't know, as opposed to Pete, who's, guilty, red-handed, whatever. But since I don't have firsthand knowledge, I've got to kind of lump them in with Pete. But of course, Joe's been dead for 70 some odd years,
Right.
So he could have been in the 50s. So yeah, Joe absolutely belongs in also, and obviously we don't have to worry about his speech.
All right, listen, we're going to take a break in a couple of seconds. Scott is at booth 407. Make sure you stop by and say hi. And Scott, obviously, Ellen and I will be there either tomorrow or Saturday Friday or Saturday, whatever, to see you. And Chuck is at 326 and 328. Look at that booth.
Yeah.
Look at that booth,
We're
man.
at the booth. Everybody's setting up behind us.
Big time, baby.
Very cool. Very cool. And we'll be there to see you guys also, Chuck, as we do every year. And I want to talk to your cameraman. So,
okay.
With that being said, Scotty, and I really thank both of you guys for coming on, and the beautiful Stacy, thanks so much for coming on, just to kind of, get a feel. I'm trying to get psyched. I am getting psyched to get on a plane and get the hell down there. And as I say every year, I'm really looking forward to that Gibson steak, man. Really looking forward to it. All right, guys, we'll talk to you in a couple of days. Take care.
Anybody's watching, get on a plane to Chicago. You still have time.
Right. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Jimmy Gogger, the super sub, former Red Sox player, is going to be joining us. He's doing some great stuff with St. Jude's. We're going to talk to Jimmy. Hang in there, and we'll be right back.
I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden Auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Okay, we are back, and Scott is still here. There we go. Now, I guess we're having some technical problems getting Jimmy in, huh?
We'll see. I don't know where we are with the audio. We have no video, but we can try it with the audio.
Well, try it with the audio. See if he's there. Jimmy Gogger, can you hear us? Evidently not. I talked to him. He says he was having a hard time. Let's try one more time. Jim Gosger, he can see us fine, but he can't hear us, or we can't see him or hear him.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no video, and I didn't know whether the audio was set up or not. So
no, evidently it's not. So we'll have to get back to Jimmy at another time. What we'll do is when Rico comes on the week after next, we'll get Jimmy on with us because Jimmy's a great guy and we want to talk about it. But anyways, I'm going to just briefly mention Jimmy. Jimmy Gosger, former Red Sox player. Jimmy was a super sub, played for Boston, Kansas City, Oakland, Seattle Pilots, the Mets, the Expos. Played for the Mets twice. Very good defensive ball player. Hell of a teammate. Rico has always thought highly of Jimmy, and I had the honor and pleasure of sitting with Jimmy and Frank Malzone, Ellen and I, about 10 or 11 years ago in Wilmington for a book signing. The reason we want to bring Jimmy on is because Jimmy has he's got a very, very great history with St Judes Children's Hospital. And Jim's wife was treated by them and she passed away. So Jimmy is very popular up in the Michigan area, signs a lot of autographs. And you can get a Jimmy Gosger autograph for any amount of money. And what Jimmy does is, I'll post it on our Facebook page. You can request an autograph from Jimmy, send $10, $15, $20, whatever you can afford. And Jimmy will send you back a signed autograph. Nice. Every single dime that he takes in goes to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Jimmy also has a book that, by the way, they're sold out of, and I'll get all the information on the book. I'm not sure what the cost of the book is. I think it's, in the $30, $40, $50 range. It's a great book on his life playing in the major leagues. And if you send, I'll find out, we'll post it all. I'll post that all on our Facebook page, what the cost of the book is. I know that they're coming in the next week or two, and Jimmy will also send a signed copy to you with his autograph, personalized. And again, 100% of the proceeds goes to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Anytime.
I bet he's got some stories, huh? I bet.
Oh yeah, he's got some great stories. And anytime he does a signing, he never takes any. All the money he does at any signing, especially locally up in the Michigan area, goes to St. Jude. So he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. Yes, he's got some great stories. He was actually a very good defensive player. He's one of these guys, Lou, that was the prototypical fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
And
played some first base too, right?
Yeah. And every team needs that. Every team needs that.
Red Sox, any dirt on Rico?
No, not really. I mean, the story. There's
got to be some dirt.
I know that. It's so hard to dig up dirt on Rico. Anytime I talk to anybody, there's nothing. There's nothing there that's. I mean, the biggest controversies I think in Rico's life is the brawl that a couple of brawls that he got into with the Yankees.
Yeah.
And the famous Joe Pepitone thing, but. Rico's he's a good man. You and I have known.
Still with us, by the way? Do we know?
Oh yeah.
I got to get him on. Him and Rico.
As a matter of we tried. Pepitone is really, really tough to get a hold of, and I think he's still pissed at Rico for ripping off his toupee. But
I would be too.
Yeah, but anyway, listen. I want to. We got a few minutes, so I want to ask you your opinion now of the Reds. Since I have a Boston hat on, what are your thoughts? I know they're looking to buy. What are your thoughts on this team? I have a good feeling about them, but I don't think
I'm like everybody else. Ask me 2 hours from now. Ask me a day from now. Ask me. I mean, I was kind of turned off a little bit till they beat the Dodgers in a series, and I know the Dodgers aren't playing well, and they've got their issues and stuff like that. But they beat the Dodgers, and everyone's getting on them for only winning 4 games in this 3-game stretch with the Cubs and Phillies and Dodgers.
I mean, they went 4-5. There's nothing wrong with that.
They went 4-5. 3 of those losses were Zach Wheeler and Sanchez and Ohtani. So I mean, it's a pretty good 3 losses right there. This was a good stretch for them in the end. I mean, who suspected they were going to beat the Dodgers in a series?
So what in your opinion, what do they need to at least make a wild card? What do they need? What position players do they need? What do they need?
You know what? If I'm the Red Sox, I go all out for Joe Ryan. I go all out for Joe Ryan if he's available to any degree whatsoever.
That's going to happen.
In town, yeah.
If it happens, it's going to happen in the next 2. It's going to happen by tomorrow night, and if they happen to be playing in Mini, so you never know.
Eovaldi's good too. They do need a starter because Garrett Crochet, as well as he's pitching, he's at his innings limit. It's who knows what we're getting from here on out. They do need another arm. They do need a couple bullpen arms. I can live with the offense the way it is. I'd like a right-handed bat, but I can live with the offense the way it is. I'd rather get a couple bullpen arms and a good starter.
What about a backup catcher?
Yeah, I'm okay. If it's an either or, I can stick with this catching group the way it is.
The latest rumor this morning, and there's been rumors like all over the freaking place, ridiculous. The latest rumor was them trying to nab Kyle Schwarber, which that would be interesting.
First of all, why would Philly do that?
I know that exactly.
Crazy. But they should have signed him in the first place. I mean, they get Yoshida for that kind of money. It was basically the same money that Schwarber signed for.
Yeah,
they signed Yoshida for.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and I think anything that they do.
Remember how big Schwarber was here?
They rented him for half a year. He killed it.
Oh, everybody loved him here.
And he did well. I mean, he was. I mean, that park is really tailor made for him. that's half a year that he was here, man. He was a superstar. People loved him, and he produced. He really produced. I think that if they do make a move, I think it's going to be with some of their prospects. A couple
I'm
of their
fine
good.
with that. There's nobody.
Yeah, I am too.
Nobody in the minors that I'm particularly attached to that I wouldn't trade for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, maybe not a rental, but if you get Joe Ryan, you get team control for a couple of years, or you can get him.
How old is he?
Offhand, I don't know. I'm gonna say late 20s, early 30s.
Maybe. I mean, he's like 8-3 or something, right?
Oh, he's perfect. He's perfect behind Crochet, and if Bayo and Giolito continue to pitch well, I mean that's going to be a pretty good foursome, and that's going to get you through a lot of things. And if you do get into the wild card, you got those two pitchers going in playoff series, you're golden.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting.
I love that setup. So a good starter would be my priority right at this point.
All right, so Lou,
by the way, spend what you got to spend. I agree.
I agree. Hey, listen, thanks for jumping in today at the last moment. I know that you got in real late.
Later than I expected. I'll tell you that much.
You're done for the day, right? Correct.
I'm done for the day. Yeah, I had a night shift tonight, but I switched it out before I left on the trip. Smart
move. Thanks for jumping in. Rico is, I told you, Rico's on the golf course. Mallory's pot's unknown. Next week, folks, Lou, actually, you get a little, not a reprieve because you still have to work, but next week and the week after, we're going to be doing, as I said, we're broadcasting from the National this weekend. We have a 2-hour show. So next week's show will be the first hour of the National, and the week after will be the second hour of the National. We do that every year. We have a good time. So Petrocelli and Mallory get the next couple of weeks off. This is their summer vacation.
Nice. Are you and Ellen out tomorrow morning?
Yes, yeah, we are. We're flying out at 10 o'clock, and we're going to pull into the hotel, shoot over to the National, say hi to some of our friends, and get working. So, and we'll be back.
All friends, I said hi. All the friends we have.
I will do that. With that being said, Louis, thanks again to our viewers and listeners. We love you guys. Thanks for all the support. Scott, Stacy, and Chuck, thank you so much. Jimmy, I know you're probably watching. If you are, we're going to get you on next time when Rico's here. Actually, Jimmy, you know something is better on. It's better off when I can just keep my mouth shut and let you guys talk. So with that being
set up, it'll be great.
Right. With that being said, we love you guys and happy collecting.